Outrageous. What gives us the right to do something like that? Who are we to create another Godzilla?
Well then, I would like you to answer me just this one question, Mr. Fujio. What does the government plan to do? I'm afraid you don't understand. Godzilla was my savior.
That's interesting. Hold on, let me fast forward this. Hold on. Savior. I think we can all agree, savior is a strong word to describe this Godzilla. What is going on, people? LP2000 right back at you with another video. Yes, welcome back on behalf of Summit Kaiju. Yes, Summit Kaiju represent. Welcome back on behalf of Summit Kaiju to Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews. And today I will be taking a look at the X Plus 30cm Godzilla 1991 Yuji Sakai Shinjuku Landing Edition figure. Woo! That's a lot to cover, but you know what? This is a great piece, a great release. In a year that we have seen so many great releases from X Plus, you can definitely add this one on the list. You know what I mean? I have the beautiful figure here, as well as the box. And you know how we do things around here? Let's get into the box before we get into the figures. Yes, I'm gonna keep the figure up here because yes, I'm not gonna put him down the ground. Why should I? He's beautiful, he's monstrous, he's just a glorious piece to add to have in your collection, you know what I mean? Yes. Love this box. As a matter of fact, I actually love the Yuji Sakai boxes. You know what I mean? The beautiful artwork on all of them has been splendid. You know what I mean? Of course, you know me. I love the regular 30cm boxes, but you know, the Yuji Sakai takes it to another level. You know what I mean? Picture of Godzilla here on the front, his face, as well as the figure here, Godzilla 1991, Yuji Sakai modeling collection. You know, Godzilla was the King Ghidorah, because that's where this figure, or at least the suit design, comes from. As a matter of fact, my favorite film of the Heisei film series, Godzilla's King Ghidorah, you know what I mean? So yes, I'm so pumped up and amped for this this review. You know what I mean? Yes, nice box. I love the box. Legal drawing on the back, and that's pretty much it with the box. You know what I mean? And let's get into this awesome figure. Yes, it is. It is so awesome. And there's not much really a big, long backstory about this figure. Normally these figures have long backstories, but this one really doesn't, you know what I mean? It kind of came out of nowhere, you know? It just got released mid-August, going into September. I think it was announced for pre-order, I think in May, I believe. Either May or, it had to be May, you know what I mean? Of course, this is the second edition of the 1991 Godzilla. You know, the first one came out in 2015, you know, the Hokkaido Landing version, arguably the best figure of that year, 2015. And like I said, this kind of came out of nowhere, you know what? But it was a welcome addition, you know what I mean? And this figure had a really big shoes to fill, you know, because the first 1991 was awesome. Like I said, it was arguably the best figure 2015. As far as like stats of this figure, this is actually the 5th edition of the Yuji Sakai 30cm line. You know, the first was 89, the second was 91, the third one was the GMK, the fourth one was the 92 that came out late last year, and this is the 5th one. You might as well count this as 7th if you count, you know, the gigantic 54 and the gigantic 2000, and those were both Yuji Sakai pieces, you know what I mean? So that's pretty much it with the backstory about this figure. I have the standard. I don't have the Rip Boy. The Rip Boy came with a light-up option on his dorsal plates. Yay, whatever. Yeah, as you can see, I'm not too enamored with the dorsal plate LED, light-up feature. Now, mind you, I would have gotten it had they got the dorsal plate lights right on that figure. You know what I mean? Now, don't get me wrong. If you got the Rip Boy, all power to you. But to me, I wish that X Plus could have been a little bit more screen accurate with the LEDs. You know what I mean? Because if you had the Rip Boy, or if you don't have the Rip Boy, the Rip Boy came with light up dorsal plates. They were like white. You know what I mean? They shine white in the dorsal plates. What I think they should have done was done what they did with the Sakai GMK. Because that figure had blue dorsal plates. And actually, what they should have done was flip-flop the two, because in Godzilla King Ghidorah, whenever Godzilla would use his fire, his dorsal plates would shine blue before he used his fire. You know what I mean? But in GMK, before Godzilla used his fire, his dorsal plates would light up a little bit more whitish. So they should have switched the two. Had they did, and had they gone for a blue paint scheme in his dorsal plates on this one, I probably would have went for the Rip Boy, but instead, I opted for the standard, and I could not be even more happier. You know what I mean? Yes, I love this figure. I'm a huge fan of the 1991 Godzilla. Not arguably, it's like my second favorite Godzilla behind the 64. Sometimes they interchange, because this is such an also powerful representation of Godzilla. As a matter of fact, I believe Toho has adopted this version of Godzilla as like their poster boy. You know what I mean? Of course, Godzilla has had many powerful incarnations, but when it comes to 91, it's just awesome. You know what I mean? So let's get up close and personal with this awesome Godzilla figure. Of course, the X Plus 30cm Godzilla 1991 Yuji Sakai Shinjuku Landing Edition. All right, let's go. Okay, folks, I'm back. Here we are, up close and personal with this great Godzilla figure. You know what I mean? And basically, this thing speaks for itself. You know what I mean? I won't go into a lot of detail because it's somewhat very similar to the first 1991 Godzilla Yuji Sakai figure. It's very similar, but it's also vastly different. And I will bring the first 91 figure up in a few seconds for size comparisons. But yes, this thing is awesome. And you know what? Let me address the big elephant in the room. I'm going to go head first into it, because I think it needs to be said, it needs to be talked about. Of course, before and after this figure came out, it was subject to a lot of criticism. A lot of folks felt like that maybe a new 91 wasn't needed. Some folks were upset of how the tail is positioned or how it's sculpted on the back of the figure. You know what I mean? And after the figure came out, they provided us with the, what's the good word to describe it? A tail stand that was very, very questionable. You know what I mean? And I'm going to bring it up right now. This, and this. This what you needed is what you needed to that was the tail stand that came along with this figure. You know what I mean? Of course, I tried to assemble it, and I'm sorry, I'm not feeling it. You know what I mean? That's probably the one bad thing I would say about this figure is that the tail stand was really unnecessary. But it doesn't take away from my overall enjoyment of the figure, or the fact that it's one of the best releases all year that S Plus has ever done. So basically, what you had to do was like attach this piece to right here, attach this small piece to right here, and the small piece will cradle underneath Godzilla's tail, or at least at the bulk of the tail, where it meets the lower body cavity right here, where you insert the tail. And the long piece will be up here to keep the tail more upright, where he's more standing like this. As you can see, Godzilla looked like he's in a walking pose, like he's walking through the city. Because, of course, this suit was used in a climatic battle in the film with Mecha King Ghidorah. And I will touch on that in a few seconds once I bring the first 91 up. But the tail stand was really subject of a lot of controversy, and it really soured a lot of people. You know what I mean? But I don't think it's that serious. You know what I mean? Basically, what you see right here is my tail stand for my gigantic series Godzilla 2000. As you can see, he works perfectly with this Godzilla. You know what I mean? Or if you don't have that particular figure, what you need to do is, like, if you accumulate a whole bunch of S Plus figures, and especially more so nowadays where they're providing tail stands, regular tail stands, what you really need to do is, like, if you have a whole bunch of them, because for me, I don't use all my tail stands. You know what I mean? They're just like in my, like, I have a separate box where I keep all my ripboard pieces, like my battery packs and stuff that I'm not really using, because I don't want to have them scattered all over my room. So I keep them in a small box, you know, to have them together and neat and organized. So I have a whole bunch of these stands, and I'm sure you do too. So what you need to do is like just have like 3 of them, stack them up high, which will be the same size as this stand right here, and boom, you have a great alternate tail stand versus using that contraption that X Plus provided for us. Once again, that's the only criticism I have with this figure, that this tail stand contraption is not needed. It's not needed. You know what I mean? This one works really, really perfectly, and as you can see, it holds the bulk of the weight of Godzilla. It's actually, you know, it's gray, so it really it doesn't stand out where it takes away from the overall essence of the figure. So I think it works. So like I said, if you have the gigantic 2000, if you have the tail stand, you can use it as an ultimate replacement if you have this figure. Or if you have like multiple X Plus figures that have tail stands, just use 3 of them if you're not using them, and just use it for this Godzilla, and it actually works. You know what I mean? But this Godzilla is awesome. He looks very, very intimidating, very ferocious, because that's how this Godzilla was in the film. He was very hateful in the film, you know? Not necessarily really inherently evil like GMK, but still, this Godzilla was brutal. He was just unstoppable. He was just an incredible, imposing force, you know what I mean, that went through King Ghidorah and Mecha King Ghidorah without any ease, you know what I mean? And they captured this Godzilla, or at least X Plus captured the sculpt of this Godzilla perfectly. You know, the paint scheme is awesome, you know what I mean? Bone white on his claws and his toes, kind of like a charcoal like white on his dorsal plates, you know. The tongue is popping, the mouth is popping. He has more like a dark purplish, like dark reddish scheme in his mouth, you know what I mean? Teeth are popping, you know what I mean? And this is one thing about this Godzilla, like, I mean, I just love so much. You know, I love the 89 suit, the one from Biollante, but they just improved it with the slight modifications that they applied for the 1991 film. And they basically captured everything I love about Godzilla 1991 in this scope, as well as the original one, you know what I mean? So yes, it looks really, really good from this side. It looks very, very good from the front right here. Yes, it does. It looks very, very intimidating, and it looks very, very good from this side right here. You know what I mean? Once again, a solid release from X Plus this year, especially Heisei, as far as Heisei figures goes. Because like I mentioned before in my last video, we have the 30 centimeter Burning Godzilla that came out earlier this year. Awesome figure. The Mecha Godzilla 1993 Heisei, awesome figure. And now this one. Maybe you can pipe down in the comment section which one you think is the better release of the 3, you know? Don't ask me that question because I can't answer that. You know what I mean? I wish I could, but I love all 3 of them. I can't really honestly say which one is the cream of the crop. You know what? Because this year is going to be really interesting when we get towards the tail end of the year, when we, you know, just try to decipher what is the figure of the year. And we're not done yet. We got the X Plus gigantic Shin Godzilla coming. We got the 1975 30 centimeter Godzilla coming. There's so many figures that X Plus has brought out this year that are awesome, and it's going to be really tough to determine which is the figure of the year. But trust me, this guy is definitely in the running for figure of the year. You know what I mean? Like I said, why don't you pop down in the comment section and tell me what you think about that. All right, let's go with the first size comparison. I got then one more size comparison after that, and we'll wrap this review up with my thoughts of my favorite film of the Heisei Godzilla film series, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. All right, let's go. Okay, folks, this is the first size comparison and really the most appropriate. And of course, I have next to the Shinjuku Godzilla 1991 Yuji Sakai S Plus figure, I have the original version with the 1991 Godzilla Hokkaido Landing version from X Plus. And as you can see, they look really, really well together. And as you can see the noticeable differences between the 2 suits, or at least between the 2 figures. Like I said, they're both very similar, but also at the same time, they are strikingly, vastly different. You know what I mean? They look well together. And let me take this time to try to explain the history behind these 2 suits. Because up until recently, I thought that they only used 1 suit for the entire filming of Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. But I actually did some research and I learned some things that really, I was like, wow, this is really, really good. Really, really awesome. So what happened was, of course, we all know this suit is from the previous film, Godzilla vs. Biollante. You know what I mean? So what they did is basically the Shinjuku Landing suit right here. Of course, we know that one right there. That was actually the land suit that they used for the land scenes in Godzilla's Biollante. You know what I mean? Godzilla, was at the end fighting the military before the ball Biollante shows up. When Godzilla is stomping through Osaka, just the land scenes. That suit was used for making the suit for the climatic battle of Mecha King Ghidorah. Later on, it was cut in half, and it was used for the water scene when Godzilla emerges from the Bering Sea. When he first makes his appearance. You know what I mean? And I would assume it's the scene where he's dropped into water when Mecha King Ghidorah carries him out to sea. You know what I mean? Now, the Hokkaido landing version was basically the sea suit that was used for the sea scenes or the water scenes in Godzilla's Biollante. Of course, that suit has somewhat of like square shoulders. It still is virtually the same looking suit, but still had like square shoulders. So what they did, they modified the suit just a little bit to make it look exactly like the one from the land suit. You know what I mean? And that was something I really didn't know. I didn't know that there were actually two suits used in Godzilla's King Ghidorah because they both look identical. You know what I mean? But that's basically what happened. Like I said, the land suit was used for the climatic battle with Mecha King Ghidorah, and the sea suit was used for majority of the filming of Godzilla's King Ghidorah. So basically, they just switched it around if you really think about it, because the sea suit in Biollante was used as basically the land suit in King Ghidorah, and the land suit in Godzilla vs. Biollante was basically used as the sea suit in Godzilla King Ghidorah. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much the history behind these two suits. And it made me want to watch the film again. You know what I mean? Because, I have watched both films in preparation for this review, and there were some things I didn't notice about the two suits, and that's exactly what happened. You know what I mean? So either way, X Plus has captured both of these Godzilla figures. At least they captured the essence of the suits in both of these awesome sculptures right here. And trust me, don't ask me which one I choose, between the two, because I already said I'm a huge fan of the 1991 Godzilla. But honestly, I can't pick one or the other one. You know what I mean? This is really a situation where I really can't pick one or the other one. I think they complement each other really, really well. You know what I mean? So please don't ask me that. Once again, pipe down in the comment section on which you feel is the more superior 91 of the two. You know what I mean? But either way, they're both solid releases. A pluses in my book. All right, so let's go with one more size comparison and we'll be done. All right, let's go. Okay, folks, this is the last size comparison, and yes, I call this setup, the enemies of the Gedo Goji, because that's basically what the name of this Godzilla is. Like the 64 is called the Mosu Goji, the 62 is called the King Goji, the 68 is called the Shoshingeki Goji, you know what I mean? And this one's called Gedo Goji in honor of the film within, Godzilla's King Ghidorah. And as you can see, I have like I said, the enemies of that version of Godzilla. I have the X Plus USA Resin King Ghidorah from 1964. And I have the 30cm Batra from Godzilla vs. Mothra 1992. And the reason why I have, of course, King Ghidorah is a no-brainer, even though it's not the same King Ghidorah from 1991, but I use it as a stand-in for the 1991, which I know we will get at some point. Trust me on that. You know what I mean? I mentioned this in my last video, the Mechagodzilla 1993 video, and I referenced the great John Stanowski's interview with the awesome G. Akamoto from X Plus, where he mentioned that in addition to him wanting to do a Mechagodzilla 1993, which is now a reality, he did mention in that same statement that he wants to make at some point a Heisei King Ghidorah. So trust me, Heisei King Ghidorah is on his way at some point. It's only a matter of time, so just be patient. But until then, I use this as a stand-in for that setup, you know what I mean? And of course, I have Batra here because, the 1991 suit was used in Godzilla vs. Mothra in the underwater scenes with Batra, you know what I mean? Of course, if you really notice the details, obviously, the 91 suit that fought this version of Batra was the Hokkaido landing version, which is really what I use my Godzilla figure to set up with this Batra. But I just wanted to put this Batra here so in case you want to have that set up, you know what I mean? So you can see what they look like together, if you want to recreate the scene involving Godzilla and Batra fighting, you know what I mean? Because like I said, this version of Godzilla, at least the suit, was already cut in half and used for other things. So they used the Hokkaido version of the 91 to fight this version of Batra, but still, the effect is still there. You know what I mean? So if you like setups and like creating monster versus monster setups like I do, you can't go wrong with either one of these setups here. Either you have this version of King Ghidorah or the 1968 version. If not the same King Ghidorah from the movie, still the effect is there. And definitely the effect is there when you pair this Godzilla with Bacter, you know what I mean? So that's pretty much it with the size comparisons. Yes, this Godzilla is awesome. Yes, it is. Please get it. You will not be disappointed. All right? So let's talk about Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. All right? Let's go. Okay, folks, I'm back, and let's talk about my favorite film of the Heisei film Godzilla series, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. Yes. I so love this film. You know what I mean? And yes, I understand that this film is kind of a mixed bag when it comes to Godzilla fans. I think this film falls into the category whether you either love it or you hate it. I'm in the camp where I love it, even though I know about the problems, okay? I understand that it's plagued with issues, that make you scratch your head, you know what I mean? But for me, this really is an entertaining Godzilla film, you know what I mean? Now, I can be objective, you know what I mean? Because when it comes to the Heisei film series, if you were to ask me, what film would I recommend to a kaiju newbie that has not seen a Godzilla film, that knows nothing about Godzilla, what film from the Heisei film series would I personally recommend to try and get them into Godzilla? And honestly, I wouldn't pick Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. Even though I love the film that much, I wouldn't pick it. I would pick Godzilla vs. Biollante because I think that film is better overall. That would appeal to a more mainstream audience, to the casual fans. But for hardcore Godzilla fans, I would definitely recommend Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. You know what I mean? And yes, I know the problems that it has, with the whole time travel element, whatever. But what I appreciate about this film is the fact that this film feels more like a Showa film. You know what I mean? It has so much of a Showa type aura around it. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I appreciate it so much. With the addition of this version of Godzilla, which is one of my favorite versions of Godzilla. I'm a huge King Ghidorah fan. Y'all know that about me. So I'm able to look past the problem that it has. Of course, with the whole time travel element, of course. And that's the thing. You shouldn't go into this film expecting, a logical time travel movie, if that's even possible, like a Terminator or a Back to the Future. You know what I mean? You shouldn't go into this film expecting that type of essence, if that makes any sense. It's basically straightforward. They tried to remove Godzilla from history. King Ghidorah was put in his place, and that's basically what happened. You shouldn't think about, well, if they left at this time, then why is this happening at this such time? Or if they left at this point in time, why is this happening? You really shouldn't go into it like that because you're really taking yourself out of the enjoyment of it all. You know what I mean? My only gripe with it is maybe it's the fact that with the Heisei film series with 84 and 89, they were very grounded in its presentation. You know what I mean? It felt more like a real life, real world scenario, and they kind of adapted to that after this film, with the formation of G-Force, Mechagodzilla, Moguera. They have become conscious of the fact that Godzilla is here, all these monsters are here, and humanity must take steps to defend mankind from these monsters. Whereas in the Showa period, even though I love the Showa films, don't get me wrong, I do love it, but it felt very commonplace for Godzilla to be around. It was like, okay, Godzilla's on Monster Island nearby. We should be worried about that. We should not be worried about if Anguirus comes in at any given moment and destroys stuff. But at least the Heisei film series, it was really, really grounded, especially with 84 and 89. Now, they took an extreme left turn with Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah because Biollante didn't do that well at the box office, which I still have a hard time grasping that. You know what I mean? But I can understand. Biollante was a new monster. Some feel Biollante was very underutilized. The fight scenes weren't really that good. Maybe that played into it. You know what I mean? So they decided to come back with a more Showa era type of film with Heisei production qualities. And they brought back basically Godzilla's #1 foe in King Ghidorah, as well as they brought back Akira Ifukube to provide the awesome music. So once again, it feels like a Showa film in the Heisei period. Probably the only Showa type film in the Heisei period. Maybe with the exception of the next one, Godzilla vs. Mothra. But out of the two, I prefer this one. You know what I mean? And of course, I know also this film doesn't really feature any great monster action until the third act. The setup is very, 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 very long. But trust me, this ain't the first film of the Godzilla film series to have a long setup with character development and stuff like that. Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster comes to mind. terror of Mechagodzilla. You know, even Godzilla 2014, that film featured a long story up into the monster action. Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah is no different. But my argument with this film is that, especially for Godzilla fans, yes, like I said, I understand the problems. I really do. But if you're able to just enjoy the story, enjoy the fact that they kind of like retell Godzilla's backstory, you know, because in the first Godzilla film, we really know where he came from. You know, they surmised that Godzilla was a mutated creature that hid away from humanity all these many years, but the atomic bomb testing brought him back. And this one, they kind of tweaked it where Godzilla was a normal dinosaur, and they bombed the island where he was on, and that made him into a super monster. You know what I mean? So they tweaked it. So they kind of explained Godzilla's backstory, whichever you choose to go into, whether it's the original one or this one. You know what I mean? So between that and the fact of of King Ghidorah's formation, he ravages Japan, you know, whatever, and they decided to bring back Godzilla. You know, they even contemplate doing that, you know, because bringing back Godzilla in a way, at least at this point, Godzilla is not the friendly superhero that he was in the 70s. But at least, you know, they recognize the fact that, okay, if we bring Godzilla back, you know, what could happen? It's basically like you throw a grenade in a room full of people and you hoping for the best results. You know, that's how they went into it with trying to bring Godzilla back. Then once they do, and once he does come back and he does, you know, take down King Ghidorah, then he starts taking down, you know, the cities and stuff like that. They have to rely on King Ghidorah to then deal with Godzilla. So that's one thing I also love about this film, the fact that both monsters have their role reversed in this film. You know, Godzilla starts out as basically the deterrent for King Ghidorah. Once he does so, Godzilla becomes the villain, and King Ghidorah has to become the deterrent for Godzilla, or Mecha King Ghidorah. You know what I mean? So there's so many things I love about this film, at least for me. You know what I mean? Hopefully next time you watch it, maybe you can take that into consideration. You know, like I said, I understand that it takes a long time to get there. I understand that the time travel plot can really be convoluted and wonky, but trust me, once you enjoy the story, once you like notice familiar faces like Kenji Sahara, the guy who played Ultraman, Hayata, stuff like that, Shindo, who played the planet's controller, if you're able to enjoy all that, Ifukube's epic music, you know, whatever, and once it gets there, once it gets to the monster action, it never stops, and it makes for one of the most entertaining Godzilla films of all time. It's definitely, like I said, my favorite film of the Heisei film series. You know what I mean? So that pretty much concludes my review of the X Plus Godzilla 1991 30cm Yuji Sakai Shinjuku Landing edition for my favorite film from the Heisei Godzilla film series, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. If you have any questions, holler me down in the comment section. Or hit me up on Facebook. Veermont Calloway would definitely go from there. Yes! Oh my God! A solid release. Yes, it is. Despite the fact that the tail is going up towards the moon, you know what I mean? Or the questionable tail stand. Don't let that take away your interest of getting this figure if you haven't got it already. You know what I mean? It really is a solid piece. You know, you can find one now for a good price. Like I said, whether it's standard or the rip, where you can't go wrong with it. Or eventually, maybe Diamond could probably get their hands on this and reissue it. You know, because they already done that with the 1991 Hokkaido Landing version of Godzilla. So if the Godzilla boom continues to thrive, and I'm sure it will, I believe at some point Diamond may get their hands on this one and reissue it. You know what I mean? It's only a matter of time. But whether you can get it then through Diamond if they do it, or get it right now at the time it's recording, please get your hand on this figure. You can't go wrong with this figure. All right? So once again, I thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And I will see y'all again on the next figure and move review. All right? Y'all take it easy.